Vote on Twitter or Instagram with the hashtag FanIndex, plus the hashtag for your school. And you can learn more at collegefootballfanindex.com. The winner will be revealed on Fox tomorrow before that big UCLA-Oklahoma game. So far, Georgia is leading for best stadium. So I ask you, gentlemen, your favorite stadium.
Well, this is a really cool thing our friends at For the Win are doing, and you can check it out online. Listen, I'm going to go, maybe it's too easy, but I'm going with Death Valley.
Hold on. Which Death Valley?
Oh, that's a good question.
Which Death Valley?
Go Tigers. LSU's Death Valley.
Stop it. The real Death Valley is in South Carolina, the Clemson Tigers. When they're coming down off that hill, it's a different ball
So
game.
we're both going with Death Valleys.
I'm just saying, I'm speaking from experience. It's a tough place to play.
Okay, so I say LSU, you say Clemson. Jenna Wolf?
My own Death Valley, which is my apartment, trying to get the kids out.
What's your...
You laugh. That sounds like a real one. He doesn't like to hear. Horseshoe, Ohio State.
Oh!
We spent last year we were out there
The
in
Ohio
Columbus.
State, Penn State
game.
game.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That was an intimidating environment. But I feel like the Ohio State fans are less likely to just turn on you, like the fans in Louisiana are.
It's a little bit different when you go to the South to a college football game. Just saying, just putting it out there.
Inside the stadium, outside the stadium.
Yeah.
So, all right, yeah. And Ohio State, not on the list, not in the top 5.
Not
Come on,
yet.
Buckeye fans.
Not yet.
Start voting. Really cool.
All right, let's move on. We are going to get to Dak Prescott.
But the Pats attempt at that.
Well, listen, that was the best option that Doug Peterson had for a play call in that situation because everything he was calling until that point, it wasn't working.
Nelson Aguilar, the best healthy quarterback on the Eagles.
Say that same game, handoff to Julio Jones, and a vicious stiff arm.
You, sir, have a seat. Right here.
Julio's so good. And, I mean, they couldn't guard him. And on the very next play after this, they ran the same action. Philly was afraid enough that Julio was getting the ball again that the running back who they actually gave it to, Devontae Freeman, gashed him for, I think, his longest game of the night. Julio was awesome.
Oh, finally, here in New York, Ben Simmons misses the layup, but there's LeBron to put the putback back in.
I could have been there to watch this, but I was doing a hit with my friend Colin Cowherd, the sacrifices I make for friends and family at FS1. And the whole NBA is just hanging out in New York this week. Dame and Russ were there day before yesterday.
All right, moving on to the Dallas Cowboys now. They are in Carolina Sunday to face the Panthers. They'd like to move on after last year's disappointing 9-7 season, where they missed the playoffs and where Dak Prescott missed his 2016 stellar form. Great in year 1 was Dak, regressed in year 2, and here we are in year 3. Dak knows that in order for his team to win, he has to improve.
I know I'll be better. Just learned so much from last year. Just moving forward, matured within the game. Just learned a lot more that I didn't know last year or that I wasn't as comfortable with. Just reads, my game, my footwork, accuracy and consistency, everything.
All right, Chris, let's talk about this Sunday's game as a measuring stick for Dak Prescott. How much of it will it be in his matchup against the Panthers?
Well, I think a lot of this is going to be on Dak in terms of being able to find the matchups and get the ball to the guys in one-on-one coverage and let them do the heavy lifting in this offense. You know that the Carolina Panthers are a single high team on defense. They're going to drop a safety down in the box. So it's going to be up to Dak Prescott to get his pre-snap read when he gets to the line of scrimmage and know where he wants to go with the football. But in listening to him in that clip and trying to figure out what he learned last year, I'm sure that he learned that he's not the quarterback he thought he was coming off of that 2016 season without number 21 in the backfield. You can tell that Zeke Elliott makes a difference in that offense. The first 3 games of the suspension from Zeke, Dak Prescott had 8 turnovers, and you can't expect to have the success that the Dallas Cowboys want when your young quarterback is turning the football over like that. This team is not built to come from behind. This team is not built to throw the ball 35, 40 times a game. So Dak Prescott needs to understand what their formula for success is, and it starts with number 21.
But against the Carolina Panthers, against this year's Carolina Panthers, I do not think they can win without some explosive plays through the air. I do not think this can be Zeke, 27 carries, 135 yards, and that's the pure path to victory because I don't think Zeke can get 135 yards, as great as Zeke is against this front. Even without Thomas Davis due to the suspension, with K'Wan Short, with Luke Kuechly, with we know how good. I think the biggest strength, Dontari Poe, who they brought in this offseason, who's a former first-round pick out of the University of Memphis. I saw him in Kansas City for early parts of his career. Then he went to Atlanta and played well for them. Like I know they lost Star Lotulelei, but they replaced him with Poe. Like the Panthers' front seven is too strong, and I would add their secondary is too suspect to not try to take some shots through the air. And so this is where it is a tough way to start the year if you're the Cowboys, in my eyes, because all year long we have said, wait, who are their tight ends? Who are their wide receivers? And this is a game where those who are they guys have to come up huge.
That's why it's going to be a big game for a guy like Allen Hurns and for Dak Prescott to find him early, because you said all along this is not going to be about what Zeke can do, but about what Dak Prescott and opening up this offense can do.
No, you're absolutely right, Jenna. And I think it's going to be more about the receivers outside the numbers than inside the numbers, because the Carolina Panthers do a great job with their interior defenders and matching up in those intermediate and deep zones in the middle of the field. The Panthers want to protect the middle of the field. That's something that their head coach, Ron Rivera, who's a defensive guy, believes in. So you're going to have to be able to attack outside of the numbers. But I think for Dak Prescott, the key to that is knowing where he wants to go with the football before the ball is even snapped.
I think that knowing where you want to go pre-snap is going to be huge for him, because especially when you can't rely on these guys to get late separation, like they're going to have to be open early and often, because Dak, we haven't seen his ability to throw guys open. But a big part of the discussion this offseason has been the Cowboys getting Zeke involved in the passing game, right? Again, tough matchup when Luke Kuechly's tracking everybody down. Who's going to step up big for the Cowboys as a tight end? That is not where there's going to be gaps in this defense. Like, you don't have a tight end that's a Jimmy Graham type that's going to be a vertical option, a wide receiver playing tight end. It would be more the Jason Witten style, like button hook short. That middle of the field is going to be congested and full of monsters. Like, you are going to have to beat them on the outside, or the other option for Dallas is you're going to have to force Cam into one of those awful games.
Yes.
I mean, and that is a real possibility here.
Because Cam Newton
is up and down.
Up and down.
Absolutely. And so I talked about yesterday how Cam, when he has a pass rating over 100, his team's record is on par with Rodgers, Brady, Manning, when they have passer ratings over 100. But we also know he might have a passer rating under 75. He has those games. If DeMarcus Lawrence, if Jalen Smith, if Sean Lee can do what I'm talking about Luke Kuechly doing, as far as take Greg Olsen out of the game, and you can force Cam into some mistakes and some turnovers, that can make it so you don't have to have the big explosive plays if you're starting the possession on the other team's 25, on the other team's 30, because you forced a turnover. That's the other key here. How many mistakes can the Cowboys front seven force Cam Newton into?
And I think one of the ways that we can answer that question is determined by how productive Christian McCaffrey is going to be.
Yes.
Because you've heard the word out of Carolina. They want to have him more involved in the offense. A top 10 pick from 2 years ago. They want to get him 20 to 25 touches a game. And so if he's having one of those productive games and that Panthers offense is able to stay on schedule, that means probably less mistakes for Cam Newton. But one of those things that you have to look for with Dak Prescott in this matchup is his responsibility at the line of scrimmage, beyond just knowing where to go with the football based on the coverage you're getting. Remember, Travis Frederick is out this game, so Joe Looney is going to be the center. How much of the protection scheme is going to be called by him versus what Dak Prescott's going to have to do in the huddle and at the line? So it's something to consider when you're looking at this talented Carolina Panthers front seven.
All right, let's pause for a second. Time now for Nick Wright's Fantasy Update.